You're listening to GWP Live Severe Weather Coverage. It is Sunday, April 26th, 2026, and it is 5 p.m. And we are joining you back live on the air this evening to update you on some ongoing storms that are moving across the state of Missouri. So let's go ahead and get into it here. Just kind of giving you that quick overview that we have on our current national alerts here across the country. We've also got a fire threat. That's kind of another, I guess, secondary story that we've been looking at today across New Mexico and Texas. That's something else that we're following when it comes to severe weather. But our main concern, again, is that severe weather risk, because we do have multiple different severe weather watches that are in place here across the Central Plains. One of them was issued just a little bit ago across northern Texas and southern Oklahoma. Storms are now starting to develop across that region. That's where the higher risk for severe weather is going to be at. But we're still going to have some pretty nasty storms here across Kansas and into western Missouri over the next few hours. Severe thunderstorm watch remains in place across the Kansas City area until about 7 p.m. this evening. So we'll go ahead and we'll show you that here on the radar. So there's our tornado watch that remains in effect in the pink area across the Kansas City area. And then we've also got a tornado watch that was issued across our western and central counties. That remains in effect until 11 p.m. this evening. That goes all the way from Harrisonville down to Nevada. We've got Stockton Lake included in this, Springfield, Joplin, Bolivar, Carthage, all of these different areas under this tornado watch until 11 p.m. We're looking at the threat of up to tennis ball size hail and winds of upwards of 75 miles per hour. Now, of course, that is on the higher end of things, but still something that we're going to be tracking closely. We're also going to be watching for these individual supercell thunderstorms. We had a couple earlier. There was a severe thunderstorm warning across northern Vernon County. That was able to expire, and we didn't have any hail reports out of that storm in Missouri. And then now it weakened below severe limits, but we are still getting some heavy showers and storms that are moving through the Nevada area at this point in time. So again, pretty heavy shower there across central Vernon County, but a few additional storms are going to be possible across southeastern Kansas. And then we're going to have to see as they move further towards the north and east, as they move into our region, how that's going to affect us here. Okay, and we just got a new tornado warning that was issued across. This one actually just expired. We talked about that one on the last live stream. Not really a big concern there, but now we have a new tornado warning that does include the same areas that actually got hit by a tornado last week. So this does include Cass counties, and it looks like it even includes parts of Jackson counties. Yeah, so we've got southern Jackson County, and then we've got Cass County under this brand new tornado warning that has been issued just to the south of the Kansas City metro. So this also goes for Miami and Johnson counties in Kansas, but in Missouri it goes for Cass and Jackson counties. So our first tornado warning in the state of Missouri for this evening. This goes until 5:30 p.m. At 4:57 p.m., severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located near Cleveland or near Spring Hill, moving east at 40 miles per hour. So kind of in that region right there, just to the west of Interstate 49. Again, hazards include that tornado. This is a radar indicated rotation, so no confirmation of this tornado yet, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a tornado on the ground. This includes mile markers 163 to 176 along Interstate 49. Locations impacted include Overland Park, Lee Summit, Grandview, Belton, Raymore, Peculiar, Lake Winnebago, Cleveland. So if you're in any of these locations, please take shelter immediately because you are now under a tornado warning. Again, this does include Belton, Missouri, where we've already had a tornado just 8 days ago that was confirmed in that area, and we tracked that one live on the air as well. So again, Belton once again under another tornado warning. I've said this before, but if you live in the state of Missouri, you will likely take shelter for a tornado at least once or twice every single year. And in this situation, Belton, you've already taken shelter a couple of times, and then now you're going to be taking shelter again. And it really doesn't matter how many warnings you go under. The fact is that you should take shelter every single time. That is what you need to do in order to stay safe across these areas. So looking here at the velocity, we might be just a little bit too close to the radar site to pick up anything. And so, yeah, there it is, just to the east of Spring Hill, this particular radar really showing that area of rotation. Let's see, that was from about 10 minutes ago. Can we get something that's a little bit more updated? Yes, currently it looks like we're having some issues with that, but just a little bit of a delay there on the radar. But here was that rotation just a little bit ago that we had just to the east of Spring Hill. And then that's going to be, let's see, I think we have eastern motion on this. Is that what I saw? Yes, east, moving east at about 40 miles per hour. So it looks like it will pass really right around the same areas that were hit by that previous tornado. So we're looking at Belton and Raymore potentially in line for this tornado as it's going to continue to move towards the east. So a little bit south. So probably on the southern side of Belton and Raymore. But again, if you're anywhere in these areas, you'll want to make sure to take shelter immediately because we are looking at the possibility of a tornado. And at the very least, we've got some very strong winds in association with that storm on the leading edge there. So that's something we're going to be looking for very closely. Let's see here if we have any updates on that velocity. So still not really a whole lot, but we can see initially when that couplet was starting to tighten. And so that is what prompted that tornado warning right in here. Yeah, that could have definitely been a funnel cloud just to the southwest of Aubrey in here. So just to the east of Spring Hill. That definitely looks like it could have been a tornado. I don't believe that we have one at this time, as that rotation appears to have weakened in the last couple of scans, but still definitely something potentially there for us. And we actually just got a brand new scan of the radar, velocity to be in particular, and we're still seeing kind of a broad area of rotation along US 69. So if we were to have a tornado with this particular storm, I do think it would be along US 69 to the south of the Overland Park area. So that's what we're looking at right now. Again, potentially right in here, just to the south of Aubrey or on the southern side there. Yeah, so so here's US 69. We've got the Kansas Missouri state border. Looks like that's right here. And so there's our rotation right in there just to the south of Stillwater, as we mentioned as well, about to cross over into the state of Missouri. And so here is Cass and here's Cass County, and then here's southern parts of Jackson County also under this warning. There's the county line right there. So this is Jackson County, and then all of this right here is Cass County. Here's Interstate 49, so that storm is going to be headed that way. Again, if it's moving eastward, then it's likely going to be passing just to the south of Belton and Raymore, where it's over here. Our tornado was about in this area. Again, on the southern side of Belton is where our tornado was last week. And so now we're looking at a rotation potentially passing just a few miles to the south of where that previous tornado was last week. So that's what we're looking at here. And then again, regardless of whether or not we have a tornado, we are dealing with some very strong winds in here, potentially upwards of 60 miles per hour. And so that's why we have that severe thunderstorm warning that remains in place across this larger area. And so that includes, yeah, so we've got a severe thunderstorm warning for Cass and Jackson counties until 5:30, 60-mile-per-hour winds and penny-sized hail. And then within that, we have a smaller, more concentrated area where we've got that tornado warning here across the area. So let's go ahead and yes, that's what we're looking at here. Again, not a super tight rotation, but there is a little bit of an area of broad rotation that we are looking for in that area. So still tornado warning remains in effect across this area for the next couple of minutes there. And then again, for that larger area, we've got that severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-per-hour winds. Then we go just to the south of that, newly issued in Bates County. We have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning across that area as well. So again, this goes from Miami and Lynn counties in Kansas and Bates County in Kansas in Missouri. At 5:02 p.m., severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from 6 miles northeast of Fontana to near Lynn Valley to near Prescott, moving east at 45 miles per hour. Hazards include 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and penny-sized hail. Locations impacted in this storm include we've got Butler, Adrian, Rich Hill, Pleasanton, Mound City, Drexel, Lynn Valley, Hume, Prescott, Fontana, as well as a few others that are under this warning. So if you are under this warning, particularly if you are in Bates County in Missouri, you want to make sure to take shelter because we are looking at 60-mile-per-hour winds and some small hail are going to be possible with this portion of that line of thunderstorms here. We're looking at Interstate 49 between mile markers 118 and 146. That is the area where we're looking at the possible impacts here out of this storm here. We'll go ahead and we'll move over to velocity mode to see if we have any straight line winds showing up here on the radar. A little bit of a Boeing segment in there. Nothing that really stands out, too much here, at least at this time, but still something that we definitely need to watch across this areas. Again, we could be looking at some very impactful winds there in those areas. So that is what we are dealing with at this time. So let's see, we also had an update for the tornado warning that remains in effect across northern Cass County and southern Jackson County. The latest update just came into us at 5:04 p.m. It was located near Cleveland or 8 miles north of Lewisburg. 8 miles north of Lewisburg is the location, again, just around the Cleveland area. So, yeah, it looks like we've got a couple of different areas of rotation that we're looking at in here. We've been watching this area that originally it appeared that this was the main area that we were watching, but it also looks like we have a little bit of rotation northeast of Cleveland as well. So potentially looking at two separate areas of rotation, one on the south side of Belton and then one just to the northeast of Cleveland, west of Interstate 49. So a couple of different areas where there appears to be at least somewhat of a broad circulation. And so that is part of the reason why those tornado warnings remain, or that tornado warning rather, there's only one at this time, remains in effect for Cass County. Also, some new information. That warning originally included parts of Jackson County. That is no longer the case. So if you are in Jackson County, you are no longer under this tornado warning. It appears that the tornadic rotation is going to stay to your south. So if you are in Jackson counties, then we do have some good information for you that you're no longer under this particular warning. So again, that is definitely some positive news that we have there. That being said, Jackson County, you're still under that severe thunderstorm warning as we're looking at that possibility of 60-mile-per-hour winds as well as some small hail in addition to that. So again, Jackson County still likely seeing some very strong straight line winds here on this leading Boeing segment here. But again, at least when it comes to the concern of the tornado, we're no longer concerned about that here across this area. So again, definitely something that we're still going to continue to watch. All right, let's go ahead and clear that out. So again, a couple of different areas of rotation as we do have a tornado warning remaining in effect for northwestern Cass counties. We've also got two severe thunderstorm warnings where we're looking at that risk of some straight line damaging winds and some small hail. We've got Bates County included under the southernmost severe thunderstorm warning. That goes until 5:30, and then we have a separate warning also going until 5:30 for Cass and Jackson counties. So three of our northwestern counties are currently under severe thunderstorm warnings. And again, within that, we do have one area that is under that tornado warning. Going a little bit further to the south, let's go ahead and go back to that here. On the southern end of this, again, we're still watching some of those isolated storms around the Nevada area, but at this time, none of those are severe warned. So that is some positive news. Just kind of show you. So we did have this one cell that was moving across western Vernon County. It strengthened for a moment, but now it has lifted just to the north of Nevada. But again, nothing too significant about this warning right now. So that is some good news there. All right, let's see. The tornado warning just expired. That tornado warning just expired in Cass County. So that's some new information that we have for you. But again, still looking at the risk of some 60-mile-per-hour winds across this area. All right, we will now go ahead and go into a brief intermission. We will return in just a few moments. And so we are back here on GWP's ongoing severe weather coverage of our severe thunderstorms here. And so we're back after a brief intermission. And so we're still tracking some ongoing warnings across our northwestern counties. As we mentioned, there was a tornado warning for Bates County that did expire at 5:15. And so now we just have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings. We're looking at the risk of some 60-mile-per-hour winds and some penny-sized hail. And so again, you'll want to take this complex of storms very seriously here, as some small hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds will still be possible if you are in these areas. So if you're along Interstate 49 north of Nevada, you certainly need to be watching these storms very closely, as they will be approaching that area in very short order here. So let's go ahead and see if we have any updates on our storms here for this northernmost warning. This is a severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect until 5:30. We've got Cass and Jackson counties under this warning in Missouri, including the Lee Summit area, as you'll see here on the radar. This also includes Belton, Raymore, we've got Harrisonville down to Archie under this warning, and this goes for 60-mile-per-hour winds and penny-sized hail. Along Interstate 49, we're looking at mile markers 148 to 179. So those are the areas that are under this warning. We also have an additional warning further towards the south here across Bates County. This warning goes until 5:30 p.m. for 60-mile-per-hour winds and penny-sized hail. This goes for Interstate 49 between mile markers 118 and 146. So 60-mile-per-hour winds and penny-sized hail is going to be possible with each of these different storms here. And so our main hail concern here is going to be in the white area across the center part of the storm. And then we're also concerned about that wind possibility here, looking at the velocities. Nothing too strong sticking out at this point. We do still have that a little bit of that Boeing segment towards the west of Butler, so along Adrian, Butler down to Ridge Hill, looking at some strong to severe winds across that area. And then we've also got some pretty strong winds now moving into Belton and Raymore at this point in time as well. So let's go ahead and kind of highlight, there's that line right there. So anywhere to the east of there, we're looking at that risk of some very strong winds that will be moving in within the next several minutes here. So that is what we're looking at right now on the radar. So again, multiple different areas under that severe thunderstorm warning. We also have another warning that remains in effect across the Fort Scott area, and so that remains until okay, actually, we just had a brand new update on that warning. In Fort Scott, we are now looking at the possibility of golf ball size hail and 70-mile-per-hour winds. So we now have a considerable threat tag with this warning in the Fort Scott area. So the threat is a little bit worse than what it once was there across Bourbon County. So this storm certainly taking some attention with that here, as we're looking at golf ball size hail and 70-mile-per-hour winds, considerable threat tag. That does include Fort Scott, and that will be moving into the US 69 area very soon. And so again, so very strong winds. Then we've got a few isolated supercell thunderstorms that we've been tracking here across southwestern Missouri. So we still need to watch these just to the west of Joplin, west of Pittsburgh. A few of these could turn severe warned, and then a few additional ones across southeastern Kansas. And so any of these storms that we are seeing that are beginning to develop, they could move into southwestern Missouri over the next couple of hours here. So that's what we're looking at here. We've got a few different warnings that remain in effect for the threat of some very strong winds and some large hail. Again, upwards of 70 miles per hour on the one in Fort Scott. The other ones in Missouri go for 60-mile-per-hour winds in quarter, or I guess penny-sized hail with those storms. So that's something that we're continuing to watch. Again, the overall areas are still under watches. Tornado watch remains in effect for this area highlighted in yellow. That continues until 11 p.m. this evening. That includes Nevada, Joplin, Springfield, Butler. We've also got Stockton Lake that is included under this as well. So again, tornado watch remains in effect across those areas till 11 p.m. Conditions will be favorable as we go through the rest of this evening hours for tornadoes, but also for large hail and damaging winds. Remember, just because it's a tornado watch does not mean that we can't see other varieties of severe weather. It means that all hazards, including tornadoes, are going to be possible. We also do still have a severe thunderstorm watch across central Kansas as well as into northwestern Missouri, including Kansas City Metro, under that watch until 7 p.m. And then a new tornado watch was also issued across northern Texas and southern Oklahoma. We've got a strong storm out there across the Wichita Falls area. Currently, we are looking at, okay, we just had baseball size hail was confirmed on the northwest side of Wichita Falls. So this is a pretty significant storm here. There is a destructive tag on this particular storm, which means that a wireless emergency alert was sent out. Anytime we're looking at hail bigger than baseballs, then that is when you would get one of those emergency life-threatening warnings on your phone issued by the government. So again, call those wireless emergency alerts. Baseball size hail just in the northern Texas along the Red River Valley. So we've got those storms, and then of course we've got the storms that are moving in across our region to the south of Kansas City. Other than that, we don't have any other severe weather that we're currently dealing with. Again, we're still watching for the possible development of some supercell thunderstorms in southeastern Kansas and southwestern Missouri, and so that would be really our next round of severe weather if you want to look at it that way. But as of right now, we haven't really seen anything additional form from that. All right, and it is for that reason, because we don't really have any new information to report at this point, none of our warnings are really that significant at this point, and so it is for that reason that we are going to end this live stream. Again, we will continue to go live periodically throughout this evening as it becomes necessary, but for now, that is it for us here on your severe weather coverage. We'll see you back here later on.